if you think about it, photographs are nothing but light. Photographs are nothing else but light. And that's what's so cool about light. Light is what makes up everything in what you see. Well, I would say that all the classics play a part in what you're doing when you shoot news photos, like composition and lens choice and where to stand and where to be. But I would say that the most important thing in news is patience and waiting for people to relax and be themselves, waiting for the right moment in sports, waiting at a police line for the police to let you into a crime scene. Just patience. Just a lot of patience required in news photography.
Patience. Richard Barron has plenty of it. For the past 15 years, he served as photographer for the Ada Evening News, and in that time, he snapped more than 150,000 photos, ranging from the jubilant to the heartbreaking. If any one person has been present at nearly every significant event to happen in Ada in the past decade and a half, it's Richard.
I try to get to all of them. I try to listen to the scanner, and I try to do that. I haven't always been here for everything, obviously. I can't be. I'm just one guy, but I've tried to get to a lot of them.
Richard's face is well known. Always with his camera in hand, he's a mainstay around Ada, moving from one event to another, capturing images as part of the permanent community record that is the Ada Evening News.
I feel like I bring to the public visualization of what's going on. And not only that, but my eye in the way that I see things, the way that things are going on in this community, whether it be just some little kid in the park swinging on a swing and having fun, which I can bring to everybody that way, or if it's a big disaster and people can open the newspaper the next day and not only see what went on, but keep the newspaper and remember what went on 5 years from now, 10 years from now. That's neat.
Richard's interest in photography came early when he was exposed to the camera work of some of his closest relatives.
Well, I had always admired the really beautiful Kodachrome color slides that my grandfather, Richard Batten, shot over the years. I have some gorgeous pictures of my mom and her sister in 1943 at Christmas time. And he was really good with a tiny, tiny little Kodak camera, a Bantam. And he took great color slides with it. And I always admired those. I always looked up to what he could do with a camera that you had to guess the focus distance on. I can remember as far back as 1974 when I was 11 years old going to the Grand Canyon and having a fascination with this little tiny Kodak Instamatic flash cube camera that my dad had. And no offense to my dear dad, but everything that I shot with it looked better than everything he shot with it.
Richard's first camera was actually a Christmas gift from his parents.
And a lot of us had this camera back then. It was the Yashica Mat GSN Electro 35, which was a rangefinder camera, and it took really good pictures, and I sold it to upgrade, and I wish I had it back. It's a great camera.
Richard's interest in photography continued to grow throughout his school years, and it wasn't long until he realized it would be more than a hobby for him. He worked as a photographer for his high school newspaper, which helped him decide to pursue the trade after graduation.
Well, I had my first internship in 1982 at the Lawton Constitution and had another one there in 1983, and I liked it a lot and decided that that's what I was fit to do. Not much else I'm fit to do for a living.
After a short stint at the Shawnee News-Star, Richard came to work for the Ada News in 1988, and he immediately felt at home. Since then, he's become a permanent fixture at just about every community event.
The community offers a lot of good things to shoot and a lot of good opportunities photojournalistically without the pitfalls of a larger community. I like working ball games on a Friday night. I like my Tuesday night basketball nights in February. I like going to the city to shoot playoffs. I have a good time with my schedule. My schedule's fun and it's never boring.
Being a news photographer isn't all fun and games. Richard has covered some grim events over the past 15 years, fully aware that he is expected to take the bad with the good.
There are a lot of upsetting tragedies that I have to cover in the news photography business, and I'm always able to push that aside when I'm making photographs of these terrible things that happen to people. And I kind of just deal with it in my own way. It's not always easy, but I'm able to do it.
Richard has seen a lot of changes in the photography business while working at the Ada News, especially in the past few years as technology has really taken off.
I think that it's a very exciting time to be a professional photographer and to be a news photographer because we're moving into a technological renaissance in which we're able to do what we should have been able to do all along, which is push a couple of buttons and click a couple of mouses and have the world see what you've shot. There was a lot of darkroom work back in the old days. We were almost all black and white for many years, and I got to where I could just whip out black and white film and prints in under half an hour. But the quality of the current crop of digital cameras is terrific, and it's only going to get better. I'm very excited about it. You know, I think that film's still got a place in photography, and it's still got a place in my photography, but that's not going to last all that much longer. Film has served us long and well, and I'd like for it to go out as a friend.
Regardless of the medium, the craft remains the same. Whatever tools he happens to be using, Richard is always looking for that next great photograph.
I think everybody who takes pictures is walking down the street with a viewfinder like this around his eyes. I do that all the time. I look at light especially. When I'm with people, I'm always looking at the way that the light is moving, the way the light is structured, how I can use the light, where I need to be for the light to be right. I'm always looking at that.
Richard's understanding of light, composition, and subject matter, and nearly 30 years of experience, enable him to produce a high volume of photographs on a daily basis, and as many as 15,000 snapshots a year. He has won countless state and national photography awards, and has compiled a very impressive portfolio of images.
I would say that photographers develop a body of work, and a body of work doesn't necessarily have to have a crown jewel in it. I would say that the same thing is true about Ansel Adams and Man Ray and Alfred Stieglitz, is that they all built an enormous and elegant, respectable body of work. No individual photograph stands out, but many of the photographs are up there among the best in the world.
Among the giants of photography, Richard points to the great Ansel Adams as his biggest influence, whose black and white landscape photography captures the natural majesty of the American West.
I believe that Ansel Adams represented something of a purity in photography. He didn't mess around. He was very precise. He was very elegant. He was very well spoken. I love his books. And his photographs are very clean in their aspect and in their vision. He loved the desert. He loved the mountains, just like I do. In fact, we've gone on several tours with the stuff that he shot in our minds. Really exciting stuff. And to go back and to see what he did, to stand in that same spot and express your own vision where he did the same thing 50 years ago is really cool.
Richard's time in Ada has enabled him to blend news and art, and his work is well known and respected not only throughout the Ada area, but across the state and nation as well. Comfortable with his career and his community, he has no intention of making any changes anytime soon.
Well, I've never been a job hopping kind of guy. I like stability in my life, and I like this community, and so I've never been the kind of guy who hunts around for a job, who makes it obvious to employers that I'd be willing to go here and there in order to advance my career. I'm very satisfied with my career here.